This is CBC Here and Now.
Registered psychiatric nurses. We need them.
It's a profession that government believes is necessary to have here, would add benefit to the healthcare system.
But we can't have them yet. Coming up on Here and Now.
The unemployment rate for June in this province, under 9%.
Sounds like good news overall.
We're all searching for those ideal candidates, and that pool is not as big as it used to be.
That story coming up.
Good evening and welcome to Here and Now. The province is taking steps to recognize psychiatric nurses, which for the first time will allow them to work in Newfoundland and Labrador. As Mark Quinn reports, those nurses have been part of healthcare system in Western Canada for decades.
Jasmine Shepard studied 4 years in Manitoba to become a registered psychiatric nurse. She graduated with a Bachelor of Science in Psychiatric Nursing this past spring. The 25-year-old from Mount Pearl is now working as an RPN in Winnipeg, but she wants to return to Newfoundland.
I mean, it's home. I can go to places like Ireland and New Zealand and Dubai and work. So it's disheartening to know that all these other places are open for me to go, but I can't go home.
This building behind me, the new mental health and addictions facility being built in St. John's, is where Jasmine Shepard wants to work. But right now, this province doesn't hire registered psychiatric nurses. They've worked in Western Canada for decades, but this province doesn't recognize their credentials. The health minister says that's about to change. He says this province needs nurses like Shepard.
Well, I'd like to see her back home, so I guess the message to her is start getting ready because it is going to happen.
Osborne says the provincial government will be announcing a pilot project as early as September. It will allow Newfoundland and Labrador Health Services to hire registered psychiatric nurses.
We do need additional healthcare professionals able to treat individuals with the need for psychiatric care. So they will provide a very valuable service in the province. It's a profession that government believes is necessary to have here, would add benefit to the healthcare system.
Legislation will have to be changed to allow the Nurses College to regulate registered psychiatric nurses. Osborne expects that will happen before the end of this year. Mark Quinn, CBC News, St. John's.
Staying with health news, we have more on the oil-contaminated eggs found in Nain and Postville. Experts say it's difficult to trace the root cause back to a specific spill, and as you're about to hear, some residents think the contamination is criminal.
Nunatsiavut began testing eggs in Postville after a diesel spill in 2020. Samples then contained light oil. That was expected. What was not expected were the results of testing the following year. Eggs from Postville and Nain contained heavy oil, which is not typically found in diesel. Plus, those communities are far apart. The distance between Nain and Postville is 300 kilometers.
Yeah, it's a wake-up call that oil pollution in the environment around some of these communities is causing problems for people that are wanting to consume country foods. And it's become a concern now.
Neil Burgess says the heavy oil could be from a number of sources. It could have come from the 2020 spill or a different spill. It could have also come from a combination of pollutants building up over years.
It's quite common to see oil contamination in areas that have ports, especially where oil has been offloaded for decades.
Burgess says heavy oils sink to the bottom of the bay. Then they accumulate in the food chain and end up in the eggs.
It's pretty scary.
One family in Postville believes criminal charges should be laid for the 2020 spill. The Flowers family also says they're concerned about their children's access to the food source in the future.
Right now, we're not sure, what's in there, fish and birds and eggs, right? And how much, so makes you think.
Nunatsiavut is now waiting for the results of the wild eggs tested in 2022, and they're expanding testing to all 5 Nunatsiavut communities.
Well, Nunatsiavut is holding public meetings and information sessions about the oil monitoring. There will be a public meeting tonight in Postville, 7 o'clock at the community center. Tomorrow, there will be an all-day session from 8:30 a.m. to 8:30 p.m. The Environment Division will be in Nain on Thursday. They'll have a public meeting at the Ilsuak Theatre that evening at 7. Nunatsiavut says there will be more meetings in Hopedale, Makkovik, and Rigolet next week. Newfoundland and Labrador Hydro has gotten the go-ahead to reuse poles previously treated with a toxic substance that's been banned by Ottawa. The province gave the approval on Friday after completion of an environmental assessment, as nearly 2,400 poles linking Churchill Falls and Muskrat Falls need to be decommissioned. But Hydro wants to keep some for emergency repairs elsewhere. Now, those poles are coated with something called pentachlorophenol, a substance Health Canada says presents concerns to humans and the environment. Well, Marine Atlantic has unveiled the name of its newest ferry. The new vessel will be called the Alasuinu, a name that means traveler in Mi'kmaq. Marine Atlantic says it consulted with Indigenous groups about that name, and you'll hear more about the new energy-efficient vessel and when it will go into service. That's ahead on Here and Now.
Well, depending on where you were today, a very different story. Lots of fog further east, at least towards the coast. You go further inland a little bit, those temperatures much warmer, lots of sunshine, and that really is the story up across Labrador. Lots of warm air. In fact, Environment Canada has a heat warning in place. Makkovik, Happy Valley, Goose Bay, well, Upper Melville area, and then Eagle River as well. This will continue into tomorrow. The reason for that, take a look at these numbers. 28 degrees in Happy Valley, Goose Bay, 30 as you head towards Cartwright, 27 in Makkovik. So that's where most of the heat is today. Lab City are currently sitting at 27. And then as you head towards the west coast, we're seeing similar temperatures. Head all the way to the east coast. St. John's only recording a temperature near 14 degrees today. And this is why there is a ton of fog out there. Current conditions down to 13 degrees. But if you take a look at some other areas, lots of sunshine in some places. We'll talk about what to expect over the next couple of days when I come back.
Thanks, Ashley. Well, this province marked a labor market milestone last month, the lowest unemployment rate since comparable data became available in 1976. But while job numbers shot up, most were part-time positions. Here Now's Terry Roberts breaks it down for us.
There was a lot more of this going on in Newfoundland and Labrador last month. Workers on the job. According to the latest labor market survey from Statistics Canada, employment increased by 2,300 positions last month. Newfoundland and Labrador was one of only 3 provinces to see an increase in employment, along with Ontario and Nova Scotia. And the surge in jobs helped set a record. The unemployment rate for June, 8.8%. The lowest ever recorded, down from 10.2% in May.
It looks like a significant decrease in the unemployment rate, which sounds like good news overall.
But full-time employment in June was down by 800 positions. The number of part-time jobs up by 3,000.
The job numbers have gone down in areas like construction, but they've gone up in some of the services like finance, real estate, those kinds of things, building support services.
Professor Gambin, however, says the unemployment rate should not be considered in isolation. Another important factor in the labor market, participation rate. And we still have the lowest rate in the country. The active workforce shrunk by 1,500 people in June, leaving Newfoundland and Labrador with a participation rate of 56.9%, the lowest in the country, well below the national rate of more than 65%.
When we have lower participation, it's a tighter labour market where we don't have the people available and ready to go into work.
We're all searching for those ideal candidates, and that pool is not as big as it used to be.
It's setting the stage for a highly competitive job market.
And it's probably the number one issue that most business leaders are dealing with today, is how to find, retain, and attract good talent.
Hickman Motors operates throughout central and eastern Newfoundland. 450 employees. Hiring new staff is not as easy as it used to be.
I can tell you that when I started in this industry 10 years ago and you'd put a job posting out there, you would have resumes within the hundreds. Today, you're lucky to get in the 20s perhaps.
So retention is a priority, and that often means a bump in pay and other benefits, trying to create a positive culture.
I think a lot of companies today struggle with high turnover rates, and fortunately for us, we don't have that issue.
It's just 1 month, so that's always a word of caution.
The labor market survey is a snapshot in time, but this economist says it's hard to say whether the jobless rate will keep dropping. Terry Roberts, CBC News, St. John's.
Well, shoppers aren't spending what they used to. That's according to data from Dalhousie University. A researcher from the Agri-Food Analytics Lab says Canadians are feeling the financial strain and they're making compromises at the checkout counter. The self-proclaimed food professor was a guest on CBC Radio's The Signal today.
My talk was very much about presenting data of what's actually is going on at the grocery store, what's going on in food service, and it's not pretty, you know?
What do you mean by it's not pretty?
Let's start with retail. People are spending less at the grocery store, not more. And I know a lot of people think that some companies are gouging consumers, some companies are profiteering. That's not what we're seeing with our data. It's actually the opposite. It's very difficult for grocers to make money with food. Now, they are making money, but not selling food.
The last time I spoke to you, it's like cosmetics, it's some of the clothing, that's what you said, where the profits are coming from for grocery stores.
Yeah, exactly. So these companies are diversified. So if you look at Loblaws, our number one grocer in the country, and you have some Loblaws stores here, food sales grew last year 3.1%. When you know that food inflation was at 10%, you know that Loblaws is treading water at best with food. So they're making money with cosmetics, prescription drugs, real estate, banking, all of these things. Shoppers Drug Mart is the bank for Loblaw, really. And so you can't accuse Loblaw of making money, but they're not making money with food.
Well, Canada triumphed at the World Junior Ball Hockey Championships last week thanks to the help of 9 young women from this province. Here now, Sarah Blackmore spoke with some who were in the Czech Republic for the win.
It's been 5 years since the last Under-21 World Junior Ball Hockey Championships. The pandemic caused a lot of setbacks, but just last week, Canada proved it was worth the wait. This was the scene on Thursday when Canada beat Slovakia 1-0 in the gold medal game, a win that for many was a long time coming.
This win, oh my God, I cannot explain the feeling. It's been such a long journey to finally get this gold medal that we've been waiting for the past 5 years. It's phenomenal. It's a great feeling, and to me, to be the captain of the team is just a big moment for me and this team. It's great to have this.
And for these young women, the win meant something bigger than the championship itself.
It was a very relieving feeling when that final buzzer went off, but also at the same time, one of the most emotional moments of my life, because I was so happy to be a part of it, but also I felt so much pride, not only being a part of the team, but also knowing that this was a story that so many young girls can look up to.
To watch your daughter play at the highest possible level and perform at gold medal status is something that you can only dream of, because it's the top that they can possibly do. And it makes me so proud to know that my child is a part of history, is a part of making sure that female athletes get recognized.
Out of the 22 players on the national team, a whopping 9 are from Newfoundland and Labrador.
The Newfoundland team was a very strong provincial team last year. We did win the national title. And by putting 9 girls together, it meant that they kept almost 2 full lines of the team, units that are used to playing with each other and that have some experience.
Now that most of the athletes are home from their big win, it's time to do one of the hardest things so far: process it all.
It's something that I can't even describe in words how I'm feeling, just because it's something so big.
I can't even explain the feeling. That's like, it's still a shock to me. It's crazy. It's really crazy.
Sarah Blackmore, CBC News, St. John's.
It's fantastic. Well, staying with hockey news, a coach from Corner Brook has found a new home in the NHL. Jason King is joining the Minnesota Wild as an assistant coach. King was a coach with the Vancouver Canucks for the past 3 years, but was let go at the end of the season. He also played more than 50 games with the Canucks and started his coaching career in St. John's with the Ice Caps. King says the new job made sense for him as a coach and for his family.
It happened really, really fast, and you know what? And as a family, we jumped on it. Just seemed like a great opportunity, a great fit. The group is amazing. The atmosphere here and everything that I heard before I took the position, that it's an amazing group to work for, from ownership right on down through. So that was a big thing for me. You know what, making sure you work with good people in an environment where you can, you know what, have fun, have success, and their ultimate goal is to win. So it was just, to me, it was a no-brainer.
And we'll hear more from Jason King about his new role later in the show. That's coming up in about 20 minutes on Here and Now.
Well, we have a few heat warnings up across Labrador. The heat is on across the island as well. Some of us are a little cooler. We'll talk about what's on the way this week when I come back.
I cannot get over the difference between the weather in like downtown St. John's, where that fog monster has just descended, and as you go inland, how much nicer it is.
Yeah,
it's like that yesterday too.
Exactly. There was a swath of sunshine. Otherwise, if you were in that onshore flow, it wasn't very nice, and that's the story today as well. This is typical of the South Coast this time of year. Let's take a look at those temperatures. Here in St. John's, even Cape Race, only 11 to 14 degrees today along the south coast of the island, between 17 and 19. And really, as you head towards the west coast, that's where the nicest weather is, at least heat-wise. Between Stephenville, Corner Brook, and Deer Lake, even Daniels Harbor, you're looking at temperatures 26, 27 degrees this afternoon, and up across Labrador, very much into the 27 to 30 degree range. A little cooler for Nain, but overall, it is definitely summer weather. And the reason why we are seeing these cooler temperatures is a blocking ridge of high pressure just to the east. And that is bringing us onshore flow or easterly winds to the Avalon, along the northeast coast, northern peninsula, and even southeastern portions of Labrador. But the heat really overtaking for you. But those cool temperatures certainly affecting the east coast. Now, as we head into the middle of the week, so about Wednesday, we're going to continue to see that, but the winds shift a little bit more southeasterly, so that will start to change, and we should actually see some warmer temperatures, and that will certainly be the case as we finish out the week. It does look like indications show that temperatures will climb back up into the 20s for at least the Avalon. Otherwise, the rest of the island and across Labrador actually looking pretty nice over the next week or so. Here's where we're sitting now. 13 in St. John's, feels more like 16 with that humidity as you head towards the west coast, though. Corner Brook 27 feels more like 32, and lots of humidity up across Labrador as well. Cartwright 30 degrees, still feeling more like 35. Now, across Labrador, at least Lab West, not showing up here, but there are lots of thunderstorms in and around Lab West. So that will continue at least for the next couple of hours. The risk will continue for the next couple of hours, but there's not really a whole lot happening across the island, except you can see some of that fog, and certainly for eastern Newfoundland. So as we head through the night tonight, we're actually going to see all of that fog creep further inland, especially along the northeast coast and the south coast of the island tonight. Even through areas of central, we'll likely see some fog patches developing after midnight, but otherwise the chance of drizzle will stick around. And then the risk, like I said, of thunderstorms just for the next couple of hours, then that should be the end of that through the night tonight. And then as far as your temperatures are concerned tonight, it's going to be a mild one. Hence the warning, heat warning for Happy Valley Goose Bay, only going down to 20 degrees tonight. A bit breezy for those of you in Lab West. Otherwise, temperatures between 9 and about 15. Not a whole lot to talk about as far as those winds are concerned. As we head into tomorrow, generally cloudy to start. Looks like we should see some breaks in the cloud cover through parts of central as the afternoon rolls through. Not doing a great job picking that up on the future tracker, but still a chance of a few showers. Can't rule that out, but I do think we'll see a bit more sunshine through central than this is showing. Again, the fog patches retreating to the coast, though, if you are in onshore flow, so that will be okay. West coast looks beautiful tomorrow. You should clear out nicely. Then another band of showers will move in for Lab City through the overnight, and this one likely will come with the risk of some thunderstorms yet again. Coastal areas should be fairly nice. Now, as far as the temperatures are concerned tomorrow, again, keeping those areas along the coast, right along the coast anyway, into the low teens. You head a little bit further inland towards, say, Holyrood, CBS, those areas, you'll likely see those temperatures in the upper teens, even reaching potentially the 20s. 20 as you head towards Clarenville, and then central areas of the island, you're looking at your temperatures well into the low to mid 20s. Humidex values also a little higher than this, so it'll feel closer to 29, even 30. West coast, you're looking at southeasterly winds, a bit breezy, 20 to 40 kilometers per hour. Temperatures in the mid to upper 20s. Along the south coast, a little cooler than that. Again, onshore flow. Same thing for St. Anthony, but along the strait, you're looking at your temperatures into the 20s. Cartwright, another warm day for you, about 29 degrees. And same thing for Happy Valley Goose Bay. Lots of sunshine, like I said, but the risk of some thunderstorms certainly still in effect for Lab West, and also some breezy winds, about 50 kilometers per hour. So as we head towards the end of the week, temperatures are going to start to warm up. We'll get into the details coming up.
Thanks, Ashley. Well, we're about to hear from a Halifax man who lost his family home in the Tantallon wildfire. Peter Walsh's house is one of the 151 homes destroyed by that fire that first began at the end of May. Since then, he's been trying to pick up the pieces alongside his wife and 3 children. Gareth Hampshire has that story.
The charred rubble being dug up here is all that's left of the family home.
It's a little bit surreal, just seeing what was there.
An office and one of the kids' bedrooms used to be in this part of the basement being torn out.
Now I even look at the concrete walls, and I remember back to when I was finishing the basement down there, and it's all still familiar.
But as difficult as this is for Peter Walsh to watch, he's actually feeling upbeat that things are moving in the right direction. It's an important step in getting the site ready for a building contractor to do the design and rebuild process.
I think I had that moment where I was overwhelmed and I was upset.
This is the Westwood Hills home Walsh, his wife, and 3 children lost to the Tantallon wildfire, along with everything they owned. They've been told it might be 2 years to build a new home. They're still paying the mortgage, but are relieved they've been able to find a place to rent in Bedford, even though it's more than they were hoping to pay.
The property we got is $3,700 a month, and it's reasonable for this property. We weren't looking for something this size. It's a beautiful home, and I have no complaints about that. But it puts us in a situation where in a year's time, I may have to find another rental property.
Insurance is providing a budget for additional living expenses, so he's trying not to worry and focusing on the rebuild. Remediation work is happening throughout the area. Environmental companies are removing wildfire ash from properties.
It just can't be mixed in with the soil because of the total losses. There's so much stuff that was in the home that we burnt. They're more worried about the contamination of the ash, so now we take it to an approved facility to deal with that.
Just being here where the family have lived since 2016 and seeing the progress is giving him hope.
I still come up here from time to time just by myself. I might just have a coffee and sit here and just be on my property again, and even that's a bit of a healing experience for me.
Gareth Hampshire, CBC News, Halifax.
I think about the time that summer in the pouring rain.
The Newfoundland and Labrador Folk Festival took over Bannerman Park in St. John's this weekend. A wide range of musicians performed during the 3-day event, entertaining crowds of all ages. We'll be right back. Well, as we heard earlier, Marine Atlantic plans to add a new vessel to its fleet, and today announced it has been given a Mi'kmaq name, Ala Suwinu, which means traveler. This afternoon, we spoke with the CEO of Marine Atlantic to find out more.
So the name of the new vessel is Ala Suwinu. It is a Mi'kmaq name, which means traveler. It's obviously for Marine Atlantic. It's part of our commitment and focus on truth and reconciliation with Indigenous people. So we're very proud. So the name of the new vessel is Ala Suwinu. It is a Mi'kmaq name, which means traveler. It's obviously for Marine Atlantic. It's part of our commitment and focus on truth and reconciliation with Indigenous people. So we're very proud to announce the fact that we have our new vessel arriving sometime in the first quarter of 2024, and it will be given an Indigenous name.
What was the process in deciding on the name?
So the truth and reconciliation obviously is very important to Marine Atlantic. As we looked at options for naming our new vessel, we asked our employees for suggestions, which overwhelmingly highlighted an Indigenous theme as their top priority. We consulted with Indigenous stakeholders regarding potential names that would recognize their culture and heritage in a respectful and meaningful manner. We're very proud to name our new vessel Ala Suwinu and celebrate this connection to our Mi'kmaq communities.
What can you tell us about this new vessel? What's it going to be like?
The new vessel will be a very modern vessel. It's about the same length and same width as the Atlantic Vision. It will have many more amenities than what we currently got in the fleet. So it's going to have additional things like pods, which we do not have today, which is sort of a different arrangement for sleeping. It's going to have a lot of passenger amenities and focus on environment as well. So there's a lot of upgrades. It also incorporates a lot of noise reduction as it relates to mammals in the ocean. So there's a lot of new things the new vessel is going to bring to us. And it is a dual fuel vessel. So this vessel will actually run on marine diesel, but it will also run on liquefied natural gas, or as they know as LNG. So the new vessel brings a lot of new technology, a lot of new opportunity, and a lot of increased and improved amenities from where we are today. So we're really looking forward to the introduction of the new ship.
So does that mean it's going to be more environmentally friendly?
Absolutely. More environmentally friendly, reduction of carbon emissions, more efficient engines. And we're using one of the technologies we've incorporated is batteries, electricity. So we'll be able to use the battery system to do a lot of our electric starts. So we don't use fossil fuels per se in that case. And of course, all the hull design and all those equipment that is underwater has actually been specifically designed to reduce underwater noise, which is again, hitting that environmental profile and footprint that we're really striving to achieve with our vessels.
Corner Brook's Jason King has a new home in the NHL. King was an assistant coach with the Vancouver Canucks for the past 3 seasons, but now he'll be joining the Minnesota Wild in a new role. Here's what he had to say about Minnesota and how he got his start as a coach in St. John's.
From a hockey perspective, you know, it's an unbelievable hockey market. People are very passionate here. You know what, I was very fortunate being in Vancouver to spend a lot of time here playing, or from a coaching side of it. So the atmosphere, the environment, the hockey, the lifestyle in this state, it's huge. But then there's also, you know what, the family aspect of it. You know what, this is not a decision that, you know, I'm a big believer that I can't do what I do unless my family is there to support, which they're unbelievable. You know what, Jen and Caden and Kaiser have they've been through the thick and thin of everything throughout my career, and you know what, and I lean on them as much as I would like to do this. I wanted them to be as big a part as well, that this was their decision as well. So ultimately it was collective that we thought this was going to be a great fit for us. And starting out in my playing career pro wise, you know, I played in Winnipeg for almost 4 years. So same type of almost hockey environment, atmosphere, climate. It's a great environment, and you know what? Again, it just made sense for us. I was very blessed to be able to play pro hockey and actually be able to play in the NHL. You know, not many people get that opportunity. So very fortunate I was able to do that. But even, you know, towards the end of my playing career, there was always something that was in the back of my head that, hey, I really want to get into coaching. I really want to kind of give back, and hopefully I can help other players achieve the things that I was able to achieve. And to be an assistant coach in the NHL was always kind of like a deep down goal that I had when actually I finished playing. I finished my playing days with the Ice Caps, and you know, not many guys can walk away from playing and get right into a pro coaching, assistant coaching role. So my career was a lot of AHL based, you know, to progress to the NHL. And you know, I learned so much at the AHL level, which I think has gotten me to here. You know what it takes to develop guys, to build relationships, the workload that goes into it. You know what, making sure that your details are strong. So it's the AHL or the ECHL, all those levels are just they're stepping stones to, you know what, put things in your back pocket to help you move on in your career. And it was huge for me. And you know what, I'm sure I wouldn't be where I'm at right now if I wasn't given that opportunity, and try to make the best of it. And you know what, try and help people along the way. And you know what, still trying to do that today.
If I were to say to you, what's the T? What does the word T mean?
What's the intention?
Good guess, but not quite. We're getting schooled Generation Z style with a lesson in slang. That's just ahead. Well, you're about to get a language lesson in how to relate to Gen Z. Drip, glow up, slay. These days, those words don't only mean what they used to. The morning show's Amy Fian visited Bishop Gardens Senior Living in St. John's and put residents to the test.
Are you ready to be quizzed on Gen Z slang?
On what?
Generation Z slang.
Well, I'll try.
You'll try? Okay, great. If I were to say to you, what's the T? What does the word T mean?
What's the intention?
Sort of, I guess. Not really, but so if I were to say to someone, what's the T? I'm asking, what's the gossip? So tell me the latest gossip that's going on.
Okay, all right.
Yeah. What do you think the word snack means?
The word what?
Snack. S-N-A-C-K.
You're having a snack.
You're having a snack, like you're eating. That is another way to use it, but the way the younger generation uses it is if we were to say someone's really good looking, we would say, that person's a snack.
Oh.
Yeah. If I were to say something is basic.
Same.
The same? That is sort of a good guess. So basic just means it's something kind of boring. So if someone's dressing very basic. Is there anything that you can think of when you were younger that you guys used to say?
Our mother used to tell us not to be out late at night belting the pats.
Oh, out in the pat?
Belting the pats.
Belt? Oh, that's... I've never heard that.
No?
Okay, if I were to say, your outfit today is very bougie.
Bougie?
Bougie.
It's a weird one.
Mm-hmm.
Bougie. Let me think. It could mean there's a quantity of it, a fairly large quantity of...
Basically, bougie means that something's very fancy and very beautiful. So yeah.
Not in my language.
Joe, I feel like you and me have a good vibe. Do you know what vibe means?
Vibration.
Vibration? That's a good guess. I guess it could kind of mean vibration. It means a happy feeling. So we're sharing a vibe. So me and you, we connect. Do you feel that? Yeah? If I were to have a drink of something or to eat a piece of cake and I'm like, oh my God, this is hitting different. What do you think hitting different means?
Well, I don't know for sure, but I would say that it's affecting me a different way.
You're spot on, sir. CAP. C-A-P. Like a thing on your head?
Yeah.
Yeah, there's also another word for it, but the way we use it would be like if you were to say something to me that I think is kind of ridiculous and could be a lie, I would say, you're capping. It's a lie.
Oh.
So do you have any phrases that you guys used when you were younger?
Go on.
Go on?
Yeah.
I think we still use that.
Yeah.
I use it. Go on with you.
Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you so much.
Go on.
Demonstrators descended on the Premier's meeting in Winnipeg today, calling on the Manitoba government to search landfills for missing and murdered Indigenous women.
We deserve justice!
Those demonstrators were escorted off the premises, but many of them continue to hold a blockade at a local landfill. The Premier's conference itself will feature 3 days of talks. They're expected to discuss many issues, including this country's troubled healthcare systems. In February, the Prime Minister offered to provide almost $50 billion in new health funding to provinces if they committed to reforms. All but Quebec have accepted the offer. Returning now to Nova Scotia and the wildfire that devastated the Upper Tantallon region last month. Photographer Sean Lowe has made it his mission to document the aftermath. He walks among the trees to see what life is springing up from the ash. Have a look.
So what made me venture out to the burn area here in Hammonds Plains and Tantallon was cover the damage that's been done, and hopefully at the same time illustrate a little bit of beauty in this absolute chaos that consumed the area in my own way. And I find it very, very challenging to work with such a different landscape than what I'm used to, like say, dramatic coastline at sunset. That kind of setting is generally what I gravitate towards, but this being completely different is a huge challenge. I know photography is important because we need to capture what we see. Even in our daily lives, you can find some form of beauty if you take the time and look closely. That's when you'll start to pay attention and pick out little small details that maybe appeal to you, or it might appeal to someone else that's looking at your photograph. So I've visited the burn area about, this will be my 6th time coming out, and many people have kind of been a little skeptical of me capturing the damage, but I don't want to draw any attention to the homes that have been lost because there's so much emotion for obvious reasons tied to that. So I'm focusing on the landscape, so we can show how much damage has been done and hope that, as well appreciate what's been lost. So on my first walk in this area, I was walking through a trail and I saw this pond, and the area surrounding the pond's completely burned. And as I walked closer to the pond, I heard a loud chirp and a frog jumped into the water. And I was so surprised that something completely surrounded by that much heat and smoke could survive in this area. Obviously the frogs hid in the mud underneath the surface to stay safe. But I found it so inspiring. Let's bend down for one shot here of this frog that seems completely unbothered by me right now. Go in real close and wide and shoot wide angle and try to really communicate the area surrounding the frog, and we can just sort of illustrate what it survived during the fire. I enjoy the challenge of capturing different landscapes during different times of the day, and at the same time trying new techniques. And I find it very inspiring, and it also tests me to compose different scenes in an artistic way. It looks like there's a small sapling poking out of the forest floor here. It certainly wasn't here the last time I visited. Let's get down for a closer look here. Look at that. I'll return a number of times just to document the changes that we're seeing and return specific spots a few times so we can see that progression of what life has returned into the area.
As far as signs of summer go, the arrival of Thomas Amusements is right up there with bonfires and fishing. The traveling amusement park has been in operation since 1963. Now, you're about to hear from one Buren bride who recently staged her wedding photos in front of the Tilt-A-Whirl. She described it all to the St. John's Morning Show's Chrissy Holmes and shared the pics.
Yeah, I just kind of had this idea in mind. And when I saw that the schedule came out and it was like the same time as our wedding, I was like, we have to go there. I had this, picture in my mind, the Ferris wheel and everything in the background. I thought that the pictures would just be so unique and like once in a lifetime experience. And then my photographer was so great. He just took the idea and ran with it.
I'm looking at the pictures right now. They're stunning pictures, right?
Thank you.
And they're so fun. I mean, well, tell us a little bit about you and your husband. I mean, what do you guys do for fun?
Well, we always have fun together, and like Thomas Amusements was something we had always grown up going to. So, we like had this idea in mind, and we thought that would be a good way to kind of incorporate that fun side of our personality into these pictures instead of having, those really serious, stuffy pictures. My photographer went up a bit beforehand and kind of set up the lighting, and we walked in, and we were fortunate it wasn't super crowded there. But the person that was running Thomas Amusements did come up. He was really accommodating, asked us if we needed any rides stopped, like anything we needed at all. He was really great to deal with. So
they are so fun and colorful. And what did you make of the final product when you actually got to see the shots?
Oh yeah, I was blown away. I wasn't expecting them to come out that good. And like he was even waiting for the rides to be running perfectly to get that lighting in the background. And we did a lot of different shots to get that perfect picture, but they came out amazing. Wow. We were just oohing and eyeing over those photos. Just absolutely gorgeous, capturing especially in the evening with all the lights,
the colors.
Yeah,
it's stunning.
Yeah, great,
sure.
Great creative idea. Mm-hmm. All right, so let's talk about the weather and the long-range forecast. So what's on the way?
It's going to get pretty wet for parts of the province as we head into your Wednesday. Stream of moisture will move in. Let's take a look at the future tracker. So that stream of moisture will move in starting Tuesday evening. That will bring that risk of thunderstorms towards Labrador, then eventually central Labrador as we head into Wednesday morning. But we are going to see those showers eventually head towards the west coast as well. And this is where we're going to see lots of tropical moisture with this as well. So expect some periods of heavy rain. That's certainly possible. But our temperatures across Labrador will start to cool down. So back down to where you should be sitting this time of year, around 20, the low to mid 20s it looks like, especially as you head towards the coast. So more into the mid to upper 20s. Now for the island, you're looking at your temperatures around 22 degrees for Corner Brook. Onshore flow will keep temperatures cool again along the south coast, and that's where we'll see most of that rain. But again, it won't move in until later on. Now, still going to hang on to those cooler temperatures further east as well. St. John's will hover around 15 degrees through the day, 24 in Gander. But as you head towards the northern peninsula, sunshine, but temperatures will be a tad on the cool side. Here's those showers again. They'll creep further east as we head through Thursday evening. Eventually, they will taper to showers, but overall, still looking at those temperatures sitting into the 20s for the most part, teens towards the coast. But further east, especially across the Avalon, we should start to see some of that sun creep through and also some milder temperatures, about 18 degrees. Up across Labrador, temperatures start to climb again, especially for Happy Valley, Goose Bay, and stay quite mild for Cartwright, hovering around the 25-degree mark. Long-range forecast, this might change, but at this point, this is what it's looking like, 18 to 21 degrees as we head through Thursday, Friday, and Saturday. At this point, looking a little bit more cloudy, but I will keep that sun icon in there until things change. But as far as central and western Newfoundland is concerned, temperatures will generally be in the low 20s. Humidex values a little higher than that, but still unsettled for Friday and into Saturday, just a mix of sun and cloud or more cloudy. And then for eastern Labrador, showers for Friday and Saturday, temperatures between 23 and 26 degrees. And then for western Labrador, you're looking at your temperature around 22. Now, just before we leave you tonight, wanted to share this photo, sunset views of Walsh River. Thank you to Dominique for that photo. If you have any that you would like to share with us, the best place is to email them to nlphotos@cbc.ca.
Oh, that is beautiful. Captured the sun and the great position there.
And the water, gorgeous.
Lovely. Thank you so much, Dominique, for that photo. Well, that's it for us on this Monday evening. Thank you so much for joining us. Hope to see you again tomorrow.
Good night.